Hi, welcome to Senior Living Foresight. It is Friday, and that means we are live, but Steve Moran is not here. Farah and I are. If you want to know why Steve's missing out on today's Foresight TV, check his profile. It's quite the story. Wink, wink. I wrote it. It's pretty funny. But today we're going to talk about an awesome topic, staffing, and where you can actually find trained people or find really good certification process for people who you need to get trained up. Farah, tell us more about a little bit about our guest today, who's Nancy Swanner, very well known in the industry.
I am so excited about today's show. First and foremost, why you want to watch today's show. You're a C-suite leader, you're a leader of communities. Nancy has been selected one of 50 leaders in our longevity and aging industry space from the United Nations and World Health Organization. She is now one of 50 leaders globally. So we are so honored to have her here today. She's going to talk about how the Granger Cobb Institute for Senior Living at Washington State University is on the cutting edge of really training our next generation of community leaders, corporate leaders, lots of different roles, and how it's different than some of the gerontology or nursing schools. This is out of the School of Hospitality. So we're so excited to have Nancy today.
Very cool. Thank you, Farah. We're going to run our quick intro and we will be back, and Nancy will be joining us.
Hey guys, Steve Moran here.
So Steve was just in cartoon form. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for having me.
We're so honored to have you. I know that the probably a lot of people watching have heard of the Granger Cobb Institute for Senior Living, and it's at Washington State University. So this is such a great opportunity to dive in and learn more of what's really going on, what to expect, and how to get people trained and what that entails. I wanted to start off, though. Tell us a little bit about how Granger Cobb came about. When did it come about?
Thank you so much. It has been a labor of love, quite honestly, for really probably almost 11 years. The industry came to us. Jerry Meyer, Bill Pettit, Granger Cobb, Tana Gall came to Washington State University and wanted to partner with our hospitality school. Our hospitality school is in the Carson College of Business, and we are the third oldest hospitality program in the country. We've been around 90 years. We're super proud of that.
Wow.
Ranked globally in the top 10. And they wanted to partner with us in our hospitality school with senior living. And so the conversation started then. They came, they taught classes, they did all these cool things. I was the director of the hospitality school at that time. I didn't know anything about senior living. But I've learned. My parents were still living in their own home at the time. I didn't even know what this was about. And so it was a big, steep learning curve to start with. Fast forward, we put some things together, and in 2018, the Faculty Senate at Washington State University recognized the Institute for Senior Living as an academic unit on our campus and allowed us to start moving forward a little bit quicker. And then in 2019, Friends of Granger Cobb came together and put together a naming gift that allowed us to name it in his honor. And we have those funds are endowed in perpetuity to give us some operating money. Then January of 2020, at the end of 2019, I shifted out of my role as the hospitality school director into the founding director of the Granger Cobb Institute for Senior Living because I wanted to be all in, and I was so excited. And that was great in January, and then in March, the world shut down. So, but that's where we are. We've had a lot of things happen. We've been blessed in many ways, and anxious to tell you our story.
Has your first class graduated yet?
No. So the major in senior living management was launched in the fall of 20. And so if someone came in actually as a freshman and stayed on schedule, the first graduate will not complete really technically until spring 24. We do have also a minor in senior living management that we launched in the fall of 21. And we did this past spring, launched or graduated our first 2 minors. So that was a big deal for us, and we're super excited. And there is a chance, we've got one student who's kind of an overachiever that has pushed some things, and there is a chance that we could graduate that first student spring 23. But we'll see. Technically, not till spring 24.
I hope she has a lineup now. People need to get on that list now to hire her. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to let Farrah chime in a second, but I wanted to ask you, so first, 2 things. First of all, it sounds like, so these are people in managerial positions, correct? Like executive director and things like that.
So really what in keeping really, a couple more comments about our hospitality school that will keep this in perspective. We have 3 majors in the hospitality school: our traditional hospitality major, one in wine and beverage business management, and then the third one now in senior living management. And they all fall under the same framework, and they're all business degrees. And so those majors all have to have 1,000 hours of paid industry experience as part of their graduation requirements, and they're all very operationally focused. So what we really hope to do, honestly, is turn students out that could go into, say, management training programs in communities, but we want them out in communities. So it's not that they're looking to, overshoot the entry-level stuff and just be an executive director or a general manager. It just doesn't work that way exactly. But we do want them to have that operational experience as part of their undergraduate curriculum that then helps position them to go into some manager trainee programs. And that's really what we are. But ultimately, of course, to be able to run their own building, and then, based on their own initiative and demands, to be able to work up into regional or corporate positions, whatever it might be, wherever it takes them.
So exciting and so needed. And like you said, like senior living is a whole world to itself. So to give them that opportunity to learn, to already be up on the business before they really jump in, that's amazing. Farrah, I'm going to turn it over to you for a little bit if you want to talk about the certification. Or I know you've been in on developing some of it, so I'd love to just be a fly on the wall and listen to you 2 talk.
Well, it's such an honor. And when Nancy talks about the business, so if someone today may be a CNA in a community, an executive leader of a company may see the talent of someone, and they need a place for that person to learn and grow, this is the right place to get a bachelor's degree in business, but the business of senior living. And so that's what's really exciting. I was honored to be asked to support the development of the sales and marketing curriculum after my almost 20 years in senior living sales and marketing management, as well as my previous years in healthcare management. The place I think is really dynamic and different here is that there are choices today out in university programs, but they may have more of a gerontological focus that isn't necessarily going to teach these wonderful candidates how to run the business. And what we know today about senior living, and what investors, if you're watching today and you want to help an operator, that's asking the operator identify 5 key leaders, let's say in a smaller company that has 10 communities, and let's put them through this bachelor program. We need to build a bench. And Nancy has created the most dynamic as well as comprehensive business degree. And again, I'm just so honored that we can announce that she's one of top 50 global leaders recognized by the United Nations and the World Health Organization. So Nancy knows what she's doing.
Only 4 in the U.S., right, Nancy? One of only 4?
That's correct. And I'm super humbled by that. And I probably need to throw out a little disclaimer. My name was on there as the nominee, but all of the recognition really comes for the Institute and the programs and the things that we've developed. But it really is, it is quite an honor. I would like to piggyback for just a second on something Farrah said. In putting together all of this curriculum, the industry has been involved with us since day one. In terms of curricular development, funding, teaching in classes, providing internships, hosting field trips. We could not do what we have done so far without the committed industry partners that we have. And so that is huge. And when we when we put together the modules for the certificate program, and the certificate program that we have is completely online, on demand, 7 modules. We had industry people like Farah write the content. We put it all together under an umbrella that where it looks the same, the formatting's the same, all of those kinds of things. But it was people like Farah who drove most of that content development for us so that it would be relevant and applicable to what people are doing. And when you look at our major and our minor, we are, as I've mentioned a bazillion times, housed in the hospitality school in the Carson College of Business. But what that means is, and we put some together, we have faculty from across our WSU system and other universities and even internationally that work with us on this curricular development piece. But we put people in a room, and they went out and looked at courses that were out there and said, look, if we were building our best boat for this, what does it take? And so ultimately the curriculum for the major it's all of the core business subjects that any business student would take at Washington State University. It is almost all of the core hospitality courses. And then we developed 3 courses that are specific to senior living management. But really, and that's all wonderful, but really, in my opinion, some of the best value of that is in the core curriculum. Our faculty partners went out and said, okay, look, so students have to have so many credits of the social sciences. Let's give them a menu of choices within that social sciences area that would enhance what they need to know to be working in this space. So maybe it's, aging across the lifespan. Maybe it's death and dying. It could be a variety of things. So there are all these sort of plug and play options through the general core curriculum that help build this into a very robust transdisciplinary major. And there's a gerontology option, course in there as well. I mean, we're not, there are some really great things about that curriculum that I'm super proud of.
That's awesome. I want to hear more about the certification and about some of the any challenges that you've come across as well in all of this. But first up, I want to run a couple of messages from a couple of our partners. The first one is from Amity, who makes a really cool system for your stove. They have such an amazing story. They started out B2C and they now equip senior living communities with their technology and really helps improve safety. And second up, we have Conversion Logics. That? Isn't that a great commercial? They did great.
Right. We get to have this show because of great sponsors, and it's just so relevant to the business of caring for seniors.
Yeah, Thank you, Farrah. Good. Well said. Well said. So Nancy, can you tell us a little bit about your certification program and how people would go about getting some of their folks into that?
Sure. So the certificate program, we actually is completely online, on demand. We have a link out to our homepage that I think is will be provided, and there's a spot out there for the certificate that explains more about it, explains the pricing, and a link for you to sign up. Again, completely online, on demand. It's 7 modules. And the modules can be taken individually. They can be taken, you can buy the entire package of modules for the certificate. Um, Again, we developed it with the industry in mind. We also developed it using Argentum's manual for their CDAL certification exam, because again, we wanted to be very relevant, and we worked with them. They were very helpful. We signed the appropriate non-disclosure agreements and did all those sorts of things, but it was about putting a training program in place that would actually help position people who wanted to sit for the Argentum CDAL exam ultimately, and or just gain knowledge. And what we're finding is the people who are in it, there are sort of 2 types of people. There are people who are already in the industry, have a passion for it, an affinity, just, they may have no formal education really, or any kind of a degree, but they need some additional knowledge, skills, and abilities to be able to position themselves to maybe move up in the organization. So there's that population. The other population are people who may have knowledge, skills, and abilities, leadership, experience, a variety of things, but in a different industry, and don't know seniors housing. And so they sign up. They don't understand maybe the care piece or the risk and regulation piece that is big in seniors housing. And so there are sort of 2 target areas there, and we think we do a pretty good job with our program serving those different populations and at helping them get to ultimately what their goals might be.
When a few years ago, when I was going through what am I going to do with the rest of my life kind of phase, I talked to a lot of people who were in the senior living industry and tried to kind of feel out what all opportunities were out there, what the different jobs were. I'd written and been involved peripherally for a while, but where did I really want to get into? And if somebody had told me at that, and I don't think it was available at that time, but at that time, if they said, there's this certificate program that you can go in to learn more and get prepared more and really find out more, and I would have been like, that's so cool. And I kind of was wondering, it's almost like there's a barrier to entry in senior living industry if you don't know your way around it, and this opens it up. Have you found it, Nancy?
I think so. The thing is, at the end of the day, right now, it is an employee market, and the workforce challenges in every industry are huge. And so, in terms of barriers to entry, it's not necessarily, to me, always about, I don't know how to say this gracefully, but to get people in kind of a thing. I think as operators and employers, what we need to be doing is working really hard to hang on to the people we have. And so what kinds of things can we do? And there's a lot of research out there that shows money only becomes an issue when people leave, when there's something else wrong. Everybody says, oh no, it's, obviously people need a basic amount to be able to live and provide for themselves, but the money is not typically the reason people leave. Something has sort of pushed them out, and oftentimes it's a, sort of this attitude of indifference, or they don't care about me here, whatever. And to me, an investment, doing something, if you've got some employees who might show potential and have this passion and this interest, as an employer, making that kind of an investment and say, here, I will pay for this, or I'll pay for a module if you want to pay for a module, or I'll pay for the whole thing, whatever it is. But showing people that you care and making that investment in them, if we could hang on and retain the people we already have, that would help tremendously, and sort of have to grow our own. So that's where I see, because again, right now it's an employee market.
Absolutely, Nancy. And I was really excited when we were together at the National Investment Center, the NIC conference in Washington, D.C., when we were introducing some of our technology partners. And that's when I could have had a V8 moment, and it was so awesome. So if today you're watching or you're going to see this and you're a solution provider, this is a certification that your customer engagement or customer experience leader in your tech company would benefit tremendously from. So as Nancy said, this is really here in the certification. And I think it's quite affordable if you want to throw out a dollar number. But I don't want to be erroneous in throwing out the dollar number I thought it was, but it's so affordable. So if I were investing as a tech company in a customer experience leader that's touching the lives of my community and adopting my technology, this is the program that you want to encourage that person and pay for, invest in, so that they can really be successful in that interaction with the senior living operators.
Absolutely, and thank you. I will throw the numbers out since you gave me that little bit of a lead in, and I will throw out my the disclaimer. I have several of them about that. Is it in addition to creating the content and the curriculum for this, helping us with this certificate program, we also said to the industry, hey, look, what would be an affordable price point if you were going to make that investment in your employees? And so we set it based on their recommendation, and the modules are $350 each. About 10 to 15 hours of content in each one. And but if you buy the whole package, there's a slight discount and it's $2,250. So it's pretty darn affordable, quite honestly. And when you think about the costs of turning employees over and attracting new employees, it's probably very affordable in that vein.
And yes, it's pretty unique as well, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
Well, it's qualified. You know, when Nancy brought together our industry experts, and now this type of certification is available. So really what we're saying is, yes, there's a bachelor's degree in business, but we also have this separate parallel track so that you can, let's say there is a CNA that thinks that she wants to be an executive director, but they've proven themselves at a community level. This is the first starting point to get someone's feet wet. But I was blown away by the option, and I think it's the right thing. I'm going to continue to advocate for tech companies, service providers, vendor solutions that say they have something wonderful and great to offer senior living operators, that this is a great starting point for them to fully be baptized, for them to then say to an operator, we've completed, or our leader has completed this certification. That's going to qualify them to really sit at the table and to have a conversation about the problems facing senior living operators today.
Well, that leads into that's a great point, a great idea. What do people learn from the certificate? So the major and the minor are business focused with senior living. What about the certificate?
It's the same. I will tell you. So in the 3-course sequence that we have in the major, the very first course is an introduction to senior living class, and the modules that we created in the certificate program are exactly the same topics and modules that we cover in that first introductory course. So the content is the same. Wow. In class, we of course do some other things. We have guests come in, we have a variety of things go along to build that out further. But the content is the same. Everybody sort of needs that basic foundational knowledge. And the 7 modules are basically the history and foundation of the industry, care and services, operations management, financial management, which is a huge one. That was the first module we developed at the urging of the industry, because they said that's, people aren't drawn to this industry because they want to play with the numbers, not even a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, but they still have to understand them because it's a business. So that was the one we developed first. And then the 5th module is risk and regulation. Then we have sales and marketing, and then we have leadership. So those are the basic topics, again, in line with the Argentum CDAL credentialing exam. It all maps and lines out pretty well. And again, available online on demand. And I should also throw out, I didn't say this, our major and minor are actually, if you were a degree-seeking student or wanted to be a degree-seeking student, our major is available completely through the global campus as well. Wow. You do not have to come to Pullman, Washington, or any of our other system campuses in Vancouver, Tri-Cities, Spokane, Everett. It is available completely through our global campus, which is our online distribution.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm gonna ask you one last question, then I'll see if there's anything you want to add and anything Farrah wants to ask. But how have you found the reception in the industry for the students? And are there any challenges you've been facing?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of challenges. Quite honestly, I think my partner in crime in the institute, Darcy Baggett, who keeps me from hurling myself out of a window more often than not, I swear. But we work very diligently, and we are actually in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so, we're going to go out to a major area in the state of Washington and be part of a huge high school recruiting effort. Because we have to educate. Well, first of all, we have to tell students this is a thing, and there are opportunities for growth and development for the next 40 years. They can write their own ticket, but they don't necessarily get it. Now, what I will say is, I think that's shifting slightly. As I mentioned, I didn't even know what senior living was because my parents were still living in their own home at the time. And in my mind, it was the 24/7 skilled nursing model. And I thought, I'm not getting how this is going to work. Well, we slowly see that shifting because now, as I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers, and now that I've been an adult child of my mom lived in senior living. I've seen it from both sides now, but I now understand what it is. And as a result, my kids also went and visited grandma when she was in the community. So there's this slow paradigm shift in re-education about what that means. So I think I do see that starting to shift. And so it becomes, at least people know about it more. But I think we have to start younger and younger as career opportunities with students. And in fact, Darcy and I have been kicking around the notion we're going to even change the name of that intro class. Instead of it being Introduction to Senior Living, which doesn't sound really fun for anybody, we're going to call it Exploring the Business of Aging. And that has a way better ring to it, especially in terms of emphasizing the business piece of it. But that sounds way more fun than Introduction to Senior Living. I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner, but that's our revelation this week. So that's where we're headed.
You make such a good point about people people don't understand the senior living industry. And one thing I'm always preaching is when people get to midlife, they start to understand it even more because their parents are going in or they're looking at their options. And people change careers midlife all the time these days.
Absolutely.
So, this would be for somebody like I guess I'm personalizing this a little bit for somebody like me who's like looking for the next path. What a great opportunity to jumpstart your career. If you haven't spent 20 years in it, that doesn't mean you can't join it now, right?
Correct. And I think, with few exceptions, the people who are leaders in the industry now that have been there for a while, most of them fell in by accident. They didn't come here on purpose. And so our role in all of this is to help shift that paradigm for it being a very on purpose career decision, but also a very on purpose life choice. Humans age better with other people, being social, living in isolation, living in our own home because we think that's where we need to be. If we're all by ourselves, that's not healthy for anyone. And COVID told us that even more so. So we're really trying to re-educate the public, the residents, their families, potential careers, staff, employees, everyone. Yeah. This is the place to be.
So true, Nancy. So true. And I'm in my apartment. I mean, I am a resident of independent living in Scottsdale. This is my senior living apartment. I'm living senior living. I'm working in senior living. This is the face of a 61-year-old aging individual that still has purpose, that can still work, that is living here. And I now am doubling down. I really want to know that the people that are touching my life, my husband's life, my families, because this is a family system, the families together have this level of expertise and the training that you offer.
It's exciting.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy, for joining us. Thank you, Farrah, for all of your insights. This has been a great conversation. Go find out more. It's Granger Cobb Granger Cobb Institute for Senior Living. I'll get it right at Washington State University. All right, we will log off for now, and we will see you next week on all of our live streams. And Steve will be back with you on Friday.